I'm here at a local liquor store, and this is going to start the subject of collecting new bottles, bottles that I feel in the future will be highly collectible. Now, today they're just a product, but 30 years, 40 years, even now, some of these bottles people will keep as a collectible. Common bottles is this one, Marska. It's a sort of a aperitif, and it's from Slovenia or someplace like that. But I've had it. It's sweet, but the bottle has not changed in the 40 years that I remember it. Some of these are wines, so wines they do merit, but I don't think they'll ever be high on a list of collecting bottle collecting, unless you're talking about mallets or onion seeds or something like that. And it seems that certain products, certain things, they're the ones that put money into their packaging. Like liqueurs have always done that. They're special. They're usually higher end. They're something that you keep around. You don't guzzle it down. So it is in a displayable bottle in many cases, and it was more so 100 years ago. Today, everything's so mass produced that they try to minimize individualism because it costs more. And speaking about costing more, we'll go over here to the whiskey, which put a lot of money into their products. A lot of these bottles today, I would not. Now, commemoratives, a lot of people think they'll never be collectible because, they put them out by the million, but some of them are numbered, and some only appear one time. That's it. And if you missed a boat on that bottle, I have some later on. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But again, this is gin, and gin bottles change a lot. The straight side, or the gin that used to look like a coffin, I call it. Well, there's not too many around. This is the closest tapered gin that I know of, and it's faceted. So, and Turkey, this is a pretty famous. That bottle's pretty common. I would assume that you could find it in the world in a lot of people's cabinets. But some of the stuff, here's a nice one. It's popular, and it's more traditional in a traditional gin bottle. It's a cork. That's a cool bottle. I'd pick it up just because it's only 37 bucks. You know that these bottles cost more than the average glass bottle. I have this one. This is really good stuff. It's a gin, and I have this exact bottle. It was given to me actually by people who could afford to buy this and had a party, didn't want the bottle, and I got that one. So that's what really gave me the impetus to come out here and do this, because I like that bottle. It's new, but when you look at it, it's beautiful. It's the real glass. It isn't painted. It's blue, corn flour. It's also embossed. This is Ireland. Ireland makes really cool bottles, and it's in gunpowder, and on the bottom it's also embossed. So it's not hard to trace. If the label is gone, you still could find information on your bottle if you found it in the raw. We're talking maybe 40 years ago. Now here's something that I was so shocked with. I mean, I'm telling you, shocked. Did you ever hear this stuff before? You should, because I made a video on this very bottle that I dug in, I don't know, 1989 or 80, I think. And it was in an old 1920s dump. And this is pretty much the same bottle that I dug, that came out of Canada, the original one, chicken cock. That was Dominion glass. These are Prohibition. That's a Prohibition glass design. And I am shocked, and I might come back. Look at the price on that stuff. Now, they weren't paying that much in 1920, I'll tell you that. And we'll make this quick because I've got to go, and I'll talk about more of this in depth later on. But this is an idea. You can stop your video anytime to get a look at these things, because here they are emboxed. And one more turn around, we'll see what this is. The tequilas. A lot of Mexican glass companies put out bottles here for these companies. This used to be a handmade, I believe. They still keep the handmade design, but a few of these are handmade bottles. Actually, there's rare, but not as rare in the Mexican tradition of making glass, because they're really good at it. They make great marbles, and yeah, a Mexican glass is good. I wish I could find more Mexican beer. Now, here's something that is close to my heart. Being a potter, this is one of the very few ceramic. This is a tequila, ceramic tequila bottle. Nice. It has the bale stopper. That's collectible for sure, for sure. I mean, even now, and that price, you could probably get half of that for that bottle right now. I'm not kidding you. How many people are drinking it? I mean, I don't drink, but if I did, I'd keep that bottle handy. Okay, well, we'll just run through this a little bit faster. I've got this plantation. We'll talk about that. I got this one at home. I worked in a restaurant that had a bar that had some real good stuff in it, and they were a bar about, you know, yo ho ho and a bottle of rum. That was their game. So I have that bottle and a few others we'll talk about. So there we are. Quick little run around about new bottles, modern bottles to collect, and we'll go further when I'm home. So let's end with a nice picture. There we go. Okay, like I said before, when I started this video at a retail store, this subject was going to be on collectible bottles that are in circulation today or had been in the last, we'll stretch it to the last 25 years. Okay, we're not going to go back that far, although I do have bottles that go back further than that. Collectible bottles are a sticky subject, because a lot of people only have a certain criteria to collect bottles within, and they believe that, you know, age makes a big difference, and it does for most of the bottles that I collect anyway. But with that said, bottles that are made today, the bottles that are being produced today to hold products, are investments in the companies, and it's a company's investment to sell their product, and those who feel or want to put out a quality product, they understand that packaging is important. I design bottles myself. I was a designer of packaging at one point, so I understand what goes into this. And as far as bottles are concerned, glass being the main component, not always, but in 90% of the cases it is, as far as liquor bottles are concerned. It's an investment, a big money investment, because it isn't cheap. We're going to start out by going with bottles that are, I feel, could be collectible in the future or even now, just because of the merit of the quality of the container. Let's start with Johnnie Walker Blue Label. Johnnie Walker has been around. I have a lot of their hand-blown bottles. They generally are marked at the bottom, but they've always been a quality bottle, so I pick them up when I dig them up or whatever. This is still going on. This is the top draw of all Johnny Walker bottles. This is it. This bottle is very expensive as far as the product. With the product within, you're looking at close to $100. This bottle right here, and a third of that cost is the glass that this bottle is made of. That is a third of the cost of this production. Everything is fine detailed. You can see they got a little bale seal here, which is excellent. The glass itself is beautiful, very heavy, a lot of glass in this bottle, so it would make a big disaster if it broke. It has an embossing, well actually it has a glaze, a pyro on it in gold. Whether that's real or not, I don't know. Here's a back label, and that's peelable. You can peel this off. Front though is not. This is not peelable, so this is pyro glaze on, and this is a paper label. So here's an example of a fairly modern bottle, and it is made today. And itself, the bottle today, you could easily get probably $10 for it. Just I'm conservative. Okay, this bottle was given to me, and most of my newer bottles are given to me by people who know I collect bottles. I worked in a place that had a bar, and I was fortunate enough to have some bartenders hold back some bottles for me before they went into the trash, and they did. This is one example, Bayou, and this is a rum, and it's really cool label. It is embossed with Louisiana, the state of Louisiana. It says Bayou. On the bottom, it even has a little guy in a boat. Isn't that cool? You don't see that much detail going into these things as they used to. But this is a classic rum bottle, I guess you could say, and it's a beautiful bottle. And I would say again, you could probably get, if you want to put it on a table at a flea market, you put $5 on it, put $8. You could probably get it if people are into Bayou rum. Plantation is another. This is a quiet stated bottle, although there are some little details about this bottle that I like. They have their symbol on the blob, which is nice. You can see that right there. It's embossed at the seal with the symbol. Label's pretty cool. People can keep the labels on in these bottles. It's important, really, in some respect, to do that. To take the labels off. Why? The bottle stands by itself as a nice object. So, and there's a plantation on the bottom, and their logo is on the bottom too. You know, low statement on that one, but it's still a collectible bottle in my opinion. Here's a bottle we were talking about, gunpowder. It's empty. This is great. The color in this is beautiful, and the all-over design is cool. It's almost like an old poison bottle of that period that it sort of represents as a, late Victorian. Gunpowder gin, great bottle, collectible. Somebody gives you this bottle, you're not going to throw it out. Look at that. Even you have a copper ring on the cork that is not really cork. It's fabricated. Here's another gin bottle. Gin looks like it's. I don't drink, by the way, so I did get drunk many years ago on gin, and I swore it off. So even when I did drink, I didn't touch this stuff. But their bottles are cool. This is all pyro glaze or, ACL, Old Fourth Distillery. Every bit of it, and it's a heavy, nice green bottle. It has a cool, heavy, I don't know, plastic label, I guess, on the neck, and it is just one of the very rare pyro glaze bottles that you see And it looks like it's coming glass, possibly. They're around still. The other liquor bottles we're going to go through here real quickly is Farmer's Gin. Nothing special about this bottle, really. I was given this bottle, but I just like how rectangular it is. I mean, you know, it's a cork bottle, so it's cool. You can even put stuff in this. I mean, these bottles, they still produce them. So if you use this bottle to put your own alcohol in it that you make, you know, moonshine or whatever, you know it's available to get again. Even if it gets lost in translation, you can always buy these bottles. So at the present time, we're not talking about 20 years from now. We're not even talking about 10 years from now. We don't know what the heck they'll be putting liquor in. You might be intravenous, you know, getting it, you know, hook up to a needle. 20 grand gold. This is another cool flask style bottle with a I call these decanter tops, because a lot of decanters have this flared lip. But nice heavy bottle to be set out to on the liquor counter to be used. So that, I don't have much to say about that one. I've never heard of it, and there's no, unfortunately the label was taken off. I don't know if it did have a label, but I found it without one. Then we go to the lowly beers. Now beers, actually, let me just step back here. Now I'm not going to talk about beer here. This is a soda bottle. And it's an Italian bottle. As you can see, it has imported Italy. 1910 is when this soda water, family run, premium Italian beverage. I don't know if all their bottles were embossed in this fashion or they just took this up recently. I've never heard of this soda or water, whatever it is, and I've only found this one bottle, so obviously it's out there somewhere. It's foreign bottle, so I don't know what company, but it's a screw cap. But I just thought the embossing was exceptional, and it's could easily be at one point a collectible bottle. Here's another ginger ale, which is a new bottle, and it holds true to the tradition of being a pyro glaze or ACL. You could see that the logo hasn't really changed since, it looks like the 60s. If you look at that font, is very early to mid 60s. Johnny Ryan has nothing to do with John Ryan. This company was started in 1935. So it probably first came out with this pyro glaze. This logo here is probably what is the original, and all this other stuff was later on added on, and probably that style of the ribbon. So I thought that was a cool bottle. There's a few still out there that smaller glass or bottlers that put pyros out. And last but not least, we're going to talk about bottles that have been around for a long time, and they were made for being commemorative and to be collected, and they're pretty much overlooked, and I'll tell you why. Let's go to the bottle I found in the woods, and this bottle isn't old at all. It's 19, if I see I think I saw the date here, and it looked like it was a 1996. I don't know if you can see that. 96, this bottle was produced. So it isn't old, but it's a commemorative put out by Kahlua, and it said on the bottom, the Heritage Collection. They expected people to keep these bottles with them and refill them or whatever they wanted them to do, or put them on the shelf to display with the label probably. This bottle was discarded. They drank the content and they really didn't need, this Kahlua dude on their shelf, so they threw them out, and that happens a lot. We're talking about bars that, public bars that this alcohol is sold in. They throw it out, they recycle it, or just throw it in the garbage. It's not even recycled, really. They don't have time for that in public places, mostly big bars, so they just throw them out into the garbage. And, you know, unless somebody picks that up, which if a bartender is smart, he will, but you see them so much, you don't take advantage of them. But this bottle was thrown out. It's a collectible. I wouldn't go out and, but it's still available. It's probably, if you go to a junk shop, flea market, Goodwill, you might find one sitting around, and they're probably maybe $1, $2, you know. But eventually this bottle could be collectible. And in 20 years from now, 40 years from now, it might be into 3 figures. Here we go with bottles that are made to be collectible, had nothing in them, and were commemoratives, and are pretty much not collectible. Now, I hate to be mean about it, because these bottles always get a bad rap, but they're reproductions of original flasks that were in this shape that Wheaton and other South Jersey glassmakers produced. Wheaton was primarily what I know of as a pharmaceutical bottler, but they bottled everything at one point. But these commemoratives came out in the 50s, or probably the 60s and the early 70s, and they were to be nostalgic, and they are made really just to put on the shelf, so they're more like of a trinket than anything. They're like a knick-knack. They're really, I mean, you could put stuff in them if you wanted, like a flower or something. They're usable, but as a collecting item, they need a little bit more status. And as the years go by and the rarity of these it occurs, that may happen. Bottles like this one is pretty cool. It's a nice looking. It has a carnival glass sheen to it. It's FDR, which you don't see him much on a bottle at all, really. There's his story behind here. So this is a half decent bottle, and you got to remember, collecting is not as much a fashion show as it is a historical outlet, a historical enterprise. If a bottle doesn't have the bells and whistles, I don't care how old it is or who owned it or whatever, it's going to be overlooked. Food bottles are notorious in that respect. Not only were they produced by the millions, they were unadorned most of the time. Liquor bottles were that way in the old days, but they caught on, and now they're not. There's still a lot that are just plain, but then there's a lot that are, you know, putting out the effort and, you know, making a, you know, $4 bottle. It probably cost them $4 for that bottle to be made for them. But, you know, you're looking at $39 or something in that respect. So it might be just a third of their cost. So there you have collecting new bottles. Keep your eye out there. There's some good stuff out there. Dumpster diving is a good hobby in this respect, in getting these bottles. Just be careful when you're behind a public place like a bar. They don't know what you're doing, so they might get offended. A lot of the places have locked dumpsters, so you can't get into them because, you know, they don't want all the booze hounds in town to dive in there and get what little alcohol there might be still in there. And you can see there's still in some in there. This one is dried up, but yeah, really, I think this one has some, here you go, some good, there's a shot of gin in there. So that's why it'd be hard to get into some of them, but there's a few roadhouses and stuff. If you go in there, walk around, look at their back bar, see what they have, then that might be an indicator that they might be throwing good stuff away. As far as this stuff is concerned, $4 or $5 in a flea market, you can pick them up. Sometimes, you know, in an antique store, they might be like 7 or 8, a little bit more, but still in all, they haven't gained any popularity since the 70s. So that time is coming. Anyway, I thought I would make a little video for everybody. Still out, waiting for the heat to subside. once that happens, I'll be out looking again. I'll be up in New Jersey not too very long from now, and while I'm up there, I hope to get into some good dumps. So I'll look for that. So talk to you later. Bye.